Warmly welcome all of you. This is BCom Special Degree Part 1, COM1341 Microeconomics. This is session 5. Today we are continuing the government intervention to the market economy. Under that, today we focus on maximum price ceiling. Deciding a maximum price for a product by the government is known as maximum price ceiling. It becomes effective when maximum price is below the equilibrium price. Maximum price is effective when the price is below the equilibrium price. Most of time, maximum price is decided for essential goods in order to give a relief for consumers. Government impose maximum price for the benefit of consumers. I would like to discuss economic implications of maximum price ceiling. Suppose that initial demand curve is dx, supply curve is sx. Then initial equilibrium price is given by P0, quantity is given by Q0. Now, consumer surplus is given by the area of A plus B plus C. Then producer surplus is given by the area of FED. Now, suppose that government impose minimum price of PM below the equilibrium price. Under this price, producers supply only QS amount, but under this lower price, consumers demand QD. Now you can see demand increases from Q0 to QD, supply reduces Q0 to QS. As a result, now there is an excess demand for the product. When there is excess demand in the market, sellers can sell the commodity at higher prices than the maximum price. It is called black market price. When government impose maximum price, supply curve after this maximum price become straight line parallel to vertical axis, because no one can charge higher prices for higher amount of the supply. Therefore, supply curve from QS upward does not work with the maximum price ceiling. Therefore, new supply curve is given by this ray. It is labeled as SX1. Maximum price PM, black market price PL. Then consumer surplus is given by the area of A. Then reduction in consumer surplus is given by the area of B, C. Then producers or sellers surplus increases by the amount of B but declines by the amount of D. Then deadweight loss or social cost of maximum price ceiling is given by the change in producer surplus and decline in consumer surplus. Now you can see consumer surplus declines by the amount of B, C, but producer surplus increase by the amount of B but declines by the amount of D. Then positive and negative signs of increase and decrease of consumer surplus and producer surplus make the deadweight loss. Since producer surplus increases by the amount of B, now you can see increase in producer surplus, that is plus B, and reduction in consumer producer surplus, that is minus D. Then change in producer surplus is given by plus C and minus D. Then declines in consumer surplus is given by minus B and minus C. When we cancel out positive values for negative values, then you will get the deadweight loss as the area of C plus D. I would like to further explain economic implications of maximum price ceiling for your easier understand without this diagram. Demand and supply curve for commodity X are given by dx and sx respectively. That is what we have discussed. Then equilibrium price and quantity are P0 and Q0 respectively. Then maximum price imposed by the government is given by PM. With this maximum price, supply is limited to Qs and demand increases to Qd. As a result, it creates excess demand of Qd minus Qs. We have discussed this with the help of the diagram. Due to the shortage of goods in the market, it leads to a black market price. It is given by PBL. P price, BL black market price. Now, I would like to summarize: decrease in consumer surplus, changes in producer surplus, and deadweight loss of maximum price ceiling. First, I would like to explain decrease in consumer surplus. That is the difference between new consumer surplus and old consumer surplus. The difference between new and old is the decrease in consumer surplus. As I mentioned earlier, new consumer surplus is given by the area of A. Old mean before maximum price ceiling, consumer surplus was given by the area of A, B, C. Then change in consumer surplus, that is decrease in consumer surplus, is given by minus B and minus C. Then change in producer surplus. Again, it is the difference between new surplus, new producer surplus, and old producer surplus. As you are already aware, producer surplus is the difference between total revenue of the producers and total variable cost of the producers. New surplus is given by the difference between producers' income and variable cost of production. Producers' income BEFG, then variable cost D, then new producer surplus is given by the area of BEF. Before maximum price, producer surplus is given by the difference between producer's income and variable cost. Producer's income is given by the area of EDFGHI. Then variable cost GHI. When we cancel out positive terms for negative terms, then we will get EDF. This is the producer surplus before maximum price. Then change in producer surplus. This is the BEF, is the new surplus after maximum price. Before maximum price, EDF then you will get final results as change in producer surplus plus B minus D. Producer surplus is increased by the amount of B but reduced by the amount of D. Then deadweight loss. As I explained earlier, deadweight loss consisted of decrease in consumer surplus plus changes in producer surplus. Decrease in consumer surplus and change in producer surplus. As I discussed just now, decrease in consumer surplus is given by the area of BC, minus B minus C. Then change in producer surplus plus B minus D. Then when we cancel out minus values for positive values, then you will get minus D and minus C as deadweight loss. Due to the shortage of goods in the market, producers use various non-price mechanisms to distribute limited goods such as queuing methods, lottery methods, bribery method, and so on. When there is excess demand for the product in the market, producers can use non-price mechanism to distribute limited amount of the product. For that purpose, they can use queuing method, first come first serve method, then lottery method, then bribery method, selling the commodity at a higher price than the maximum price, that is called bribery method, and so on. Now I would like to explain another method of government intervention to the market mechanism, that is called minimum price ceiling. Minimum price ceiling. Deciding a minimum price for a product by the government above the equilibrium price is known as minimum price. When government decide a price above the equilibrium price for the benefits of producers, it is called minimum price. Minimum price is always effective when it is above the equilibrium price. Minimum price is decided by the government for the benefit of producers and factors of production or owners of factors of production. Economic implications of minimum price is explained in the following diagram. Okay, we can use this diagram to explain economic implications of minimum price ceiling. This is the initial demand curve, dx. This is the initial supply curve, sx. This is the equilibrium price, P0, equilibrium quantity, Q0. Then consumer surplus is given by the area of A, B, C. Producer surplus is given by the area of IH. Now, suppose that government impose higher price than equilibrium price of P0 as minimum price. Here PMI, minimum price. When government impose a minimum price, supply rises from Q0 to QS. Supply increase from Q0 to QS because of higher price given to the producers. But demand declines from Q0 to QD because now price in the market is above the equilibrium price. Therefore, the difference between QS and QD is the excess supply of the product. There is a excess supply in the market. Now, by using this information, we can estimate social cost of this program, social cost of minimum price ceiling. Consumer surplus declines from the amount of B plus C. Consumer surplus declined by the amount of B plus C. Now, new consumer surplus is given by the area of A. Then, producer surplus is given by the area of B plus I. I would like to explain why producer surplus change. With this minimum price, producers produce or QS units of this commodity. The production under minimum price is OQS unit up to this point. But due to higher price, consumers demand only QD unit of this commodity. When government impose minimum price, producers produce up to this point. Then cost of production is given by the area under the supply curve. Then you can see variable cost of production of OQS units, that is GFE, cost of production. But producers can sell only OQD units of the product. Therefore, producers' income is given by the area of BIJ. This is the producer's income. This is the cost of production. When you reduce cost of production by from producer's income, then you will get producer's surplus. Then producer's surplus is given by the area of BIJ GFE. I would like to explain further economic implications of minimum price ceiling. Demand and supply curves are given dx and sx respectively. Then equilibrium price is P0 and equilibrium quantity is Q0. At the minimum price, demand is QD and supply is QS. As a result of minimum price, there is an excess supply of QS minus QD. Even though producers produce QS unit at this higher minimum price, they can sell only the QD units. Then changes in producer surplus. Again, changes in producer surplus is the difference between new surplus and old surplus. New surplus, new producer surplus. As I mentioned earlier, producer surplus is the difference between total revenue of producers and cost of production. Then total revenue of the producers, new total revenue, that is under minimum price, producers' total revenue is given by the area of BIJ. But cost of production is given by the area of JGFE. Then new surplus of the producers is given by the area of Bi minus G minus F minus E. Positive B, positive I, negative G, negative F, negative E. I would like to go back to the previous diagram. This positive I, positive B, positive B, positive I, but negative J, negative G, negative F, negative E. New producers surplus. This is the total revenue of the producers. This is the total cost of the producers. Then the difference is given by the producer's surplus. Now, Bi minus J minus G minus F minus E. We cancel out positive J with negative J because it is included in the cost of production. Then new surplus minus all surplus is the change in producer's surplus. Then all surplus before minimum price ceiling, producer's surplus is given by the area between total revenue and total variable cost. Total revenue IHGJ minus total variable cost GJ. Then old producer's surplus HI. Then change in producer's surplus, that is the difference between new surplus and old surplus. New surplus BIGFE, old surplus IH. The difference between these two is the change in producer's surplus, that is positive B or plus B minus G minus F minus E minus H. Now you can understand how changes in producer's surplus due to the minimum price ceiling. Then reduction in consumer surplus, that is very straightforward. New consumer surplus is A, all surplus A, B, C. Then change in consumer surplus is the difference between new and all surplus A minus B minus C, then ultimate result minus B minus C, reduction in consumer surplus. By using those information, we can easily estimate deadweight loss or social cost of this minimum price ceiling. Then reduction in consumer surplus plus changes in producer surplus. Reduction in consumer surplus is given by the area of BC, that is minus C minus C. Then producer surplus is increased by the amount of B but declines by the amount of G, F, E, H. Therefore, deadweight loss is given by the area of minus C minus G minus F minus E minus H. Now you can see higher social or deadweight loss due to this minimum price ceiling. Part of deadweight loss CFG occurs due to the unsold production. Producers produce more units of the products due to minimum price ceiling, but they can sell only a limited amount due to excess supply. Therefore, part of deadweight loss arises due to unsold production, that is given by the area of minus G minus F minus E. The other part of deadweight loss arises due to the reduction in consumer surplus, C, and reduction in producer surplus minus H. There are two reductions. One is reduction in consumer surplus, that is given by the area of C, Then reduction in producer surplus, it is given by minus H. Altogether measures the deadweight loss of this program. When there is a minimum price for a product, overproduction is unavoidable. It is very clear. When there is a minimum price for a product, overproduction is unavoidable. You can remember overproduction of paddy in our country due to minimum price for the paddy. It is unavoidable. Overproduction always push down market price of the product. When there is excess product, there is pressure on market prices to push down. As a result, producers lose. Minimum price ceiling is imposed for the benefits of producers, but ultimately, result of the minimum price ceiling is very unfavorable for the producers. Therefore, government can use another economic policy to maintain minimum price ceiling successfully. In order to prevent the consequences of minimum price, the government can take two remedial actions in order to prevent the bad consequences of minimum price. The government can take two remedial actions. One is purchasing excess supply by the government, the other one implementing a deficiency payment system. There are two methods of policies which can be used to prevent the reduction in market price due to the excess supply of the product. First one, purchasing excess supply by the government. Second one, implementing deficiency payment system. Now I would like to focus on purchasing excess supply by the government. I would like to discuss economic implications of this economic policy package. Government introduced minimum price and purchase excess supply by the government. Okay, I would like to discuss in detail the economic implications of purchasing excess supply by the government. This is the initial demand curve dx, this is the initial supply curve sx, this is the equilibrium price p0, this is the equilibrium quantity q0. Then consumer surplus is given by the area of A, B, C. Producer surplus is given by the area of I, H. With this minimum price PMI, consumers purchase only QD units and producers supply QS unit of the product. Therefore, there is an excess supply of the product that is given by the difference between QS and QD. When there is a excess supply in the market, now there is a pressure on price to push downward. In order to prevent this push on price, government can purchase this excess supply. This is the amount of excess supply. If government purchase 1 unit, it has to pay the price of QD P MI. This is the minimum price for a 1 unit. Then up to this unit, the total cost of purchasing excess supply by the government is given by the area of this, that is C, D, E, F, G, H. That is the cost for the government to purchase excess supply. I would like to repeat, government cost is given by the area of D, E, F, G, H, C. Then, due to minimum price, consumer surplus would be declined by the amount of B, C. Now, consumer surplus is given by the area of B. However, when government purchase excess supply at the minimum price, producer surplus increases by the amount of B, C, D. Now, producer surplus is given by the area of I, H, B, C, D. Producer surplus. Consumer surplus. Increase in producer surplus is given by the area of B, C, D. By using this information, we can easily estimate social cost of this policy package. That is minimum price with government purchase. Then increase in consumer surplus is given by the area of B, C, D, that is useful for the producers, but decline in consumer surplus by the amount of B and C, that is the reduction in consumers' welfare. Then this is the extra cost for the government. Therefore, if you reduce reduction in consumer surplus and cost of the government by the increase in producer surplus, then you will get deadweight loss of this program. That is given by the area of C, H, G, F, E. You can see this is the social cost or deadweight loss of this program. Okay, C, H, G, F, E. That is the deadweight loss of this policy package. Right. I would like to discuss again without diagram for your easy understanding. Excess supply is given by the difference between QS and QD. Then cost incurred by the government to purchase excess supply. Due to cost, it is denoted by minus sign C, D, E, F, G, H. That is the cost for the government to purchase excess supply of this product. Then reduction in consumer surplus, that is very straightforward, minus B minus C, reduction in consumer surplus. But increase in producer surplus is given by the area of B, C, D. You can see this extra cost for the government, this also cost for the consumers, but this is the benefit for the producers, increase in producer surplus. Then deadweight loss, increase in producer surplus minus reduction in consumer surplus minus cost of the government. Then increase in producer surplus is given by the area of B, C, D. Then reduction in consumer surplus is given by the area of B, C. Then cost for the government is given by the area of C, D, E, F, G, H. When we cancel out positive terms with negative terms, then you will get ultimately C, E, F, G, H as deadweight loss. C, H, G, F, E as deadweight loss of this program. Now, I would like to focus on the other system which can be used for the successful implementation of minimum price ceiling. That is called deficiency payment system, deficiency paying or payment system. Deficiency paying system. I would like to explain economic implications of deficiency paying system by using a diagram. This is the initial demand curve, this is the initial supply curve, this is the initial equilibrium price P0, initial equilibrium quantity Q0. Consumer surplus is given by the area of A, B, C. Producer surplus is given by the area of J, K, I, H. Now suppose that government impose a minimum price of PMI above the equilibrium price. As a result, quantity demanded of this commodity declines from Q0 to QD, and quantity supplied of this product increase from Q0 to QS. Q0 to QS. As a result, now there is an excess supply in the market. Therefore, no one can implement minimum price successfully if there is excess supply in the market. Therefore, market forces push down the market price up to P1. Now you can see this is the initial equilibrium price, this is the government introduced minimum price, but this is the market price. Then to implement minimum price successfully, government can pay deficiency between minimum price and market price as a package. If government pay deficiency for the producers, then cost for the government to implement this program would be given by the area of B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. This is the cost per one unit, that is the difference between PMI and P1. Then government has to pay for the amount of QS. Therefore, cost for the deficiency paying system is given by the area of B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I.